My name is Ayo. Thank you for coming again. And with me on the stage, a couple of my friends, and we'll just do a general introduction because everybody here will be working with us through this journey. I'm sure most of us saw the advert while you're registering and all of that, and then we promise that it's going to be a practical session uh, uh, all through this month, every Wednesday this month, as we go through Power Apps and all of that to just help everybody, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate, whether you're an experienced Power Platform person. The idea is just to make sure that what we see how we can use our little experience also to help further your journey so far, and then help give you some sort of confidence and some sort of boost in your Power Apps career and journey. So we're really glad and we're really excited to have you join us tonight, this morning, this afternoon, wherever. I see one of my friends on the call joining us is joining from Australia, so I can imagine he's 11 different hours away from us. So it's glad to have you join. Fantastic stuff. All right, so just for a quick introduction, I will start from myself. All right, my name is Ayo. So because I'm presenting, I have leverage. I can share, so I have more leverage over every other person. All right. But I will do justice to every one of them week in, week out. But today, let me take the leverage. Okay. So my name is Ayo Tunde Ayola. All right. You can just call me Ayo. Or in Nigeria, people like to say AY, Alpha Yankee, or you can do Alpha Yankee Oscar, Ayo. All right. Anyone is fine by me. All right. I'm a principal consultant at Stringify. I have a few experience. I've been in tech for about 12 years, and I have a little bit of experience from ranging from Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform, which is one of the things you are here on this call with us to do, to learn. I have experience with Microsoft Dynamics from the days of Dynamics on-prem down to the cloud days. I'm a software engineer also. I write small code from PHP, C Sharp, and a few others, all right? And I do a little bit of things also. I like a lot of things. If I am not building things, all right, then you'll find me probably working on music or watching sport. I like Formula One, I like basketball, and I like football. I'm a Barca fan, I'm a Lakers fan, and then I like Ferrari in Formula One, even though Mark Verstappen is taking the whole glory right now as a Red Bull guy. But what can we do? All right. So it's good to have everybody. And that's a little bit about me, really. All right. So I'll just go further to my friends on the call, right? Don't Like I said, I have leverage. So next week and the following week, we'll do a proper, you know, bio of each of them. But today may I have leverage. So I'm the one that is the first day, is the first introduction day. So the leverage is on me first. All right. So just a quick one. Everybody that will be assisting me to do this are fantastic people, and I'm intentional to say that they are fantastic. They are awesome in what they do, and all of that. And I'm excited that they could take out time out of their busy schedules to join us and to really share with us, out of their wealth of knowledge. And I will start from person I'm seeing is the one that has the bigger thing on my screen. Oluwatobi Yusuf, to just tell us about himself for a while. I will have done it for him, but I'm good at it. But let's hear from the horse's mouth himself. All right, Mr. Toby, let's meet you, sir.
Okay. And confirm you can hear me clearly. Wait, why?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right. So I'm Oluwatobi. So um I'm not I don't have 12 years like okay why. So apparently I'm the same lead. I lead the business process engineering team in AXA Massage. The basically I do talk about my basic job or my daily job is just checking out for the business pain points, leveraging the power platform to automate and basically to make the process easier for people to do. I've been in the power platform space for almost 2 years, but not up to 2 years. I'll let you know when it's 2 years. So almost 2 years. And I'm a two times MCT, and I recently became an MVP for
Yes, so yes,
Microsoft Business
so.
for the Microsoft
Woo!
Business
Come
application.
on, let's go, boy.
Yeah, for the Microsoft Business application, and I'm delighted to be here with amazing minds and with people in the industry who are also professionals. In short, they've even some of them, all of them have been here before me. All of them have been here before me. I think I'm the youngest in the power platform space among all of us. So it's a privilege to be here with them, and it's also a privilege to hear every single person because I see this as a cool learning process. We are all learning together. So thanks for being here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tobias. Thank you for honoring us. All right, let me go over to my very good friend, my baby, Omolola A. Alfred. Tell them the hey. What is the hey? They need to know the hey. All right.
Hi, Eli. Can you hear me
Uh,
clearly?
yes, loud and clear.
Beautiful. Okay. My name is Omolola Alfred. The A is Adeshola. So yeah, but just make it very short. You can just call me Lola. I'm a Power Platform developer, or you can say a senior Power Platform developer. It's all the same thing to me. I'm a Power Platform developer, Hashem Limited, and I am delighted to be here. So like AY said, I don't have 12 years of experience like AY has, but then I'm excited to be here. I think as we go on this journey, you get to know more about me. So I think let me just keep it short.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lola. It's good to have you around. Yeah, I'm going to go over to Victoria. Victoria, hi, Victoria. Okay, I think Victoria is a little off for now. Good evening, Coyote, all the way from in it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Victoria is here. Victoria is here. Hi, Victoria, how you doing?
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's so
Good evening.
nice to be here with this beautiful people, this beautiful set of people, and also to everyone that has joined. Thank you for joining. I look forward to this month of November to be a month with series of learnings. I look forward to learning from every one of us. We can learn anything from anybody actually. So I look forward to learning from you. And I also look forward to sharing knowledge. Yes, so thank you, AY. I'm a business applications developer, precisely with the Microsoft Power Platform. And I have little or no experience building applications, automating business processes using the Microsoft Power Platform. So, like I said earlier, let's get on this series in the month of November and let's build stuff. Thank you for having me, AY.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Vicky, for joining. Thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Coyote. It's good to have you around.
Yes, hello, good evening, AY. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Over loud and clear.
All right, great. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. As AY said, every one of us, we are a team. We've worked together on different things, and bringing these projects together and delivering this training to you guys is actually something that is exciting to me. So, just a little bit about myself. Power platform specialist and an MCT. So I deliver training to different organizations and help them, build their staff up to create solutions. All right. So really that's what I've spent a lot of time doing lately. But starting from next week, I'm actually getting back to being hands-on developing solutions. Yeah, so as AY was trying to say earlier, I'm actually in the United Kingdom. So last year I relocated to the UK. And I said that basically because ever since coming here, I've gotten to see the vast space that is available for Power Platform developers over here. There is a very, very, very high demand for Power Platform developers. I really don't know how it is in other spaces, but within this Power Platform space that I am, I know I get loads of offers constantly. All right. So it's just telling us the fact that organizations are recognizing the value of the Power Platform, and now is a very good time for you to get in. So if you've more or less attended one or two training sessions before, I want to believe this is going to be um, a further step in your learning journey, and together we are actually going to be able to achieve something good. I'm looking forward to share what I know, and I know everybody in on this team, they are actually experts, and you're going to be learning a lot. So I will just plead with us, let's stay tuned, let's be dedicated to this training. We've all come together because we want to do this, so but we cannot do it without you. So let's all make this happen. All right.
Hey, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Coyote. Thank you for that. We're excited about that. All right. Without further ado, let's not waste our time. And just delve into it strictly. All right. Like we said, it's a Power Apps, series. All right. And when we say series, it means the intention is really to take us through a journey. All right, a journey. And when I say a journey, we're looking at taking you through an hands-on journey, a journey where we help boost your confidence as to your learning of the Power Platform. And we are not ignorant of the fact that we have different audience. All right, we are very well priced with the fact that we have various audience, from people who are probably just transitioning, to folks who this is your entry level, to those who are intermediate, and then to those who are advanced. But the idea is to just bring us through a journey and then help you, scale up from there. All right, that's the intention of why we are holding this series every week. It's going to last for about an hour, 30 minutes, thereabout, every week, an hour, 30 minutes of just delving into a little things. All right. Now, today being the first day, being the very first day, we would like to, one of the things we like to do today is bring everybody to a full understanding first of what Power Apps really is. We'll talk about it from the mother line, which is the Microsoft Power Platform, and then we'll bring it down to the Power Apps itself. And then, like one of the things that also is very important to us is that to help you learn, we do not plan to bring this training session to you from a zigzag mode. We plan to bring it to you from a structured pattern. So which means we'll be looking at a very little scenario. All right. And what the scenario will do is it will form some sort of guide. All right, guide that would help you. So for the scenarios, like we're building a little capstone project, a very simple capstone project. And while we're going through that project development, we'll touch base with major things, from how to start a Power Apps project, how to gather your Power Apps requirement, then where to start from. All right, and then how to start building, how to then we'll now touch base with what major angles of Microsoft Power Apps. All right, so those are the things we have in mind for everybody. All right, and for today, in the next few minutes that we have, we'll definitely be looking at Power Platform and Power Apps general overview, which I will be having every of the bright minds I have with me, explain this technology to us. Why they explain, I will make sure that I also try to let your eyes be gazed on the screen as they explain. I will take us through uh the interface, so we just get an idea of what they are saying. All right, that's one. Then two, will then explain to us what the scenario we're trying to achieve is all about, so that when you come next week, you know what we're trying to do. When you come the following week, so every Wednesday you come this month to join the session, you would know what we are trying to achieve. The idea is so that after the whole session, you can also pick it up yourself, and then start building things. All right. So that's the idea of what we're trying to bring to everybody. And I would encourage everybody, stick to the lesson, to the training. If you come this week and you don't come next week, might not be that interesting. You might have questions you want to ask and all of that. And it's better to ask your questions when you have people live on the call where they can easily answer your question based on what they are showing you and what they are trying to do on your face. It's more interesting that way. All right. So that's that about that. So moving forward, we'll talk about Power Platform. Like I said, Power Platform is the mother line of which the Power Apps sit on. We'll talk about the Power Platform, and just to bring the Power Platform to us on a generic level. I'm sure you're looking at my screen right now. You're seeing a few things like the Power Apps, the Power Automate, the Power BI, and the Power Virtual Agent, and then you're wondering, what are these things, right? What do they do, right? What exactly do they offer to me as a person? Now, I'm going to, this evening is going to be much of me and Lola. We would beckon on other friends to join us, but it's going to be me and Lola. So I will allow Lola come on board and just give us a generic overview of what are they looking at, what is the Power Platform, and what each of these elements do, and how each of these elements are important to learn. All right, and how they are important just to learn. Basically, I would ask other questions from other guys on the call. All right, Lola, take it up.
Okay, beautiful. Eli, please confirm that you can still hear me clearly.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. So good evening once again, everybody. So like I said, we'll just be doing an overview of the Power Platform. So the Power Platform is an ecosystem. I want you to think of it as an ecosystem that has majorly 5 major components. So the first component is the Power Apps. So you might be asking, what does the Power Apps do? Now, one of the beautiful things about the Power Platform is that each component already explains what it does with the name, right? So the Power Apps is used for building application, and these applications are built using low code. So if you are a pro developer here and you are very familiar with SQL, right? The logic that Power Apps uses and the logic that SQL uses is very similar. If you are somebody that is actually good with Excel, then the Excel formulas are also similar. So basically, when we talk about code, you would have heard that Power Apps is low code, no code, but then I will just tell people that it is low code because it can get complicated. It depends on your process, on what you are trying to build. So the Power Apps is used for building application, and anybody can actually build application using the Power Apps, whether you've ever built an app before or you have never built an app before. You can actually you can build an application using the Power Apps. That is one. Now, the Power Apps has different approaches to it. So you can build an app using the Canvas app method, right? The Canvas app method, I want you to imagine the Canvas app as a blank, like a blackboard, right? Where you can actually design and you can draw up anything that you want to draw. Okay, so the Canvas app is very flexible. So if you take a look at the screen, what Eva is showing us, you can just see. So for the Canvas app, basically, you can do anything. You can make your header blue, for instance. You can make your header white. You can make your header yellow. It's very flexible for you to design. That is why it's called a canvas. So you have a blank canvas and you can do whatever you need to do on the canvas. Now there's another one, which is called the model-driven application. Now, the model-driven application, like the name is model. So the model-driven application, you use a method called, you model your data, basically. So you have the data and you model your data. So your app will be built for you from the data that you have modeled. So I'm going to come back to model-driven, and I'm going to go to the next component, which is the Power Automate. Now, the Power Automate is so beautiful. A lot of people that have used this, they've actually fallen in love with the Power Automate. So take a look at your screen and you will see whatever is showing us. So basically, right, the Power Automate is used for automating processes. To simplify that, basically means that I can, let me look for a very simple process, say an approval process in your organization. You want that anytime you make an approval, it goes to the person that you are directly reporting to, say your team lead. Then you want that once your team lead has approved, you want it to actually go to the HR. To make it simple, if you're somebody that you're already working already, leave. I'm going to use the leave scenario. Say you want to book for leave and you want that immediately I book for leave, I want this leave to get, I want my leave application to get to my team lead. After my team lead, I want it to go to the HR and I want to get, then whatever my team lead says, I want it to come back to me. Whatever my HR says, I want it to come back to me. So you can do that simply using the Power Automate. And what you can basically do is, there's a beautiful feature now that Microsoft has actually released, and you can just type exactly what you want to do and the app will be built for you. So everything I just said, you can actually do it with just dragging and dropping. And that is why we said you can either code or you don't even need to code at all. So the main thing that you use is logic. First, you know what you want to do. What do I want to do? I want to build a leave application and I want it to go to this person and this person. And all you just tell Power Automate, you just Power Automate, put the mail of the people that you want it to go to, or you can even automatically just pick the person that you are directly reporting to, or the person that person is even reporting to. Power Automate can do all of that for you. All right, so the next one is Power BI. So this one is very, very, very popular. The Power BI is very popular because, you know, we have more number of data analysts now, and they use this tool very much. So yes, Power BI is also a low-code, no-code tool, and it sits right in the Power Platform ecosystem. So the Power BI is used for analyzing data. So you have data that you have actually generated using your Power Apps, all the data that you have collected. So say I have applied for leave. The interface can be my Power Apps, all right? And what is automating these processes is my Power Automate. So all of the data that has been collated, I want to analyze this data using visuals, right? I want to show the number of people that have gone on leave. I want to show the number of people that have applied for leave. I want to show the number of people that have, say, 2 or 3 days of leave need. I want to show all of that dynamics, right? And I want just show it probably to the management, say, okay, we have 75 staff and 25 people have gone on leave, 35 people have not gone on leave, 25 people don't have access to leave. You can show all of that using diagrams and using charts, basically, and that is done with the Power BI. This that I'm about to say is so you can basically fall in love with it, which is Power Virtual Agent. Power Virtual Agent is one of the components that I fell in love with when I joined the Power Platform ecosystem. So if you have ever gone into, say, a website and you see something, just something very small at a particular site, just come up to you and say, can I help you today? So that thing that you're seeing is a bot. And you can actually do that using the Power Virtual Agent. So like the name, like I said, everything that each of these components is doing is, you can actually get an idea of what it's doing from the name. So Power Virtual Agent is a virtual agent that is used to ask, you can use it for frequently asked questions. So Ewa is showing it, so you can just look at your screen and see. And so for this, it's so easy. You can actually build a chatbot without writing code. So before I got into the Power Platform space, I thought that for me to actually build a chatbot, you know, I have to write a lot of code and I have to do a lot of all those difficult stuff, right? But coming into the Power Platform, you can actually create a simple chatbot or even complex. Like I said, whether it's simple or it's complex, it depends on your process, your scenario, what you are trying to do, what you're trying to solve. So the Power Virtual Agent is used for bots. And one of the beautiful things that people actually do, if you go on YouTube and you're checking out to build Power Virtual Agent, checking out use intelligence, you would see that the one of the frequent things that people actually use it for is frequently asked questions. So you have load of questions that people always ask you, right? You can just put all of those questions inside your chatbot. And once people come into your, say, your website, you want to direct them, you want to maybe just, give them all these answers. So you are going to use some keywords. So whatever keywords that they type, it will determine the answer that would show. Another beautiful thing about the Power Virtual Agent is that you can actually integrate it. So you can integrate the Power Virtual Agent with Q&A. You can integrate the Power Virtual Agent with anything. Basically, all the components that I have mentioned here can actually be integrated. When I say integrated, I mean that you can actually use them together. So you can use Power Apps and Power Automate together. You can use Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI together. You can use Power Automate and Power BI alone together. Another thing is that you can also put your Power Virtual Agent on Facebook. You can see everything that we can see here. Configure your bot channels to meet your customer where they are. So that if you look at the screen, that is what it is saying. So you can actually bring in your chatbot into Microsoft Teams. You can bring in your chatbot into Facebook. So say that you don't have, for somebody like me, I don't really use Facebook. So you don't have Facebook, you just quickly do your chatbot and you just want to show people what your chatbot can do. That is where you use the demo website. So you can just put your chatbot, integrate it to your demo website. So you can see the power of the chatbot. You can test run and see what your chatbot can do, and all the questions that you have imported, that you have set into your chatbot, you can see them in action. Okay, so you can see Slack. So for people that uses Slack, you can actually bring in your chatbot to Slack, Telegram, and so on. Now, the last and the newest member of the Power Platform that I'm going to be mentioning is the Power Pages. So basically, before now, Power Pages was called Power Apps Portal. And what Microsoft has done is that they have renamed it to Power Pages. And naming it to Power Pages, they've also given people that do not know how to code, they basically introduced so many low code feature into it. Basically, it means that you can build up your website from templates. Okay, so spin up a template, just select the template and you have your website created for you. So what your Power Pages does is that it helps you to create websites. Now, let me tell you the difference between all the five. Okay, you see, your Power Apps, your Power Automate majorly, they work in an organization setting. So when you're building an application, you're building an application or you're doing anything with Power Apps, you are building it and you're tailoring it to an organization. Okay, I'm using it to solve organization problem, organization challenges that organization face. That's what you're using your Power Apps and all of that to do. But you see, Power Pages, it helps you to actually it helps you to get, say, feedback from customers. It helps your customers to be able to interact with you. So how you get people that are not in your organization into your organization is actually through the Power Pages. Okay, so the Power Pages is used to create websites and developer before you can create a website using the Power Pages. You can just use template, like I said earlier. So everyone is trying to show us this, but he needs to just quickly spin up a trial. Okay, so once the trial is done, you can, so if you're trying to do this, you don't currently, you don't need any kind of subscription. All you just need to do is you can just spin up a trial and you can see the beauty of Power Pages. Okay, now Power Platform has a dedicated Power Platform has a dedicated database, which is database. But another beautiful thing, you remember when I started, I mentioned SQL. It was SQL I mentioned. So if you're somebody, let's say you're a core developer and you know SQL very much, you have your data already on SQL, you don't see a need to move your data to database, because now I just said that the database for Power Platform, the dedicated database that Power Platform uses is database. But if you already have your data seated on, say, SQL or anywhere at all, you can actually just connect your Power Apps to SQL, for instance. But if you're starting from scratch, you don't have your data anywhere at all, and you want to use your data, you want to use a database, okay, I would advise you to use database. Now, there are so many differences between database, SQL, or SharePoint list. For people that are very familiar using SharePoint list, there are so many differences between all of these things. But I will just focus on the database, and I'm just going to say a few things about database now. Database is not just a database. Okay, so yes, database is a relational database, but it is not just a database. Database is a data service, meaning that it gives you an opportunity to do so many things. You know, you can database is very secured. It allows you to do a lot of security, you know, and all of that with database. And you can also export and import data using the database. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if you have your data seated somewhere else and you want to move this data into the database, or you have your own data currently on the database and you want to move it out, you can just easily move that using data flows. So database is, you know, very flexible, and you can use it for a number of things. But I'm going to stop here because I don't want to give you an information overload. I don't want to overload you with information. As we go on this project, you've heard AY speak, you have heard Kaede speak. As we go on, we are going to use a project approach, meaning that we have a project, we have a use case that we want to solve, and we are going to teach you how to solve business processes using this particular use case. So all the components that I've mentioned, I have mentioned Power Apps, I have mentioned Power Automate, I've mentioned Power BI, I've mentioned Power Virtual Agent, I've mentioned Power Pages, and I've also mentioned database. We'll be using Power Apps. We'll teach you how to use Power Apps approach, what you can do with Power Apps. We're going to tell you the project, we're going to tell you the use case. We are going to teach you how to use Power Apps. We're going to teach you how to use Power Automate. We're going to show you also how to just create charts using Power BI. And we are also going to be using database. So all our data would be sitting on database. We'll teach you how to create tables, because the database is a relational database, meaning that all your data sits in tables. So you have column name where you put Omolola Alfred, have column job title where you put senior Power Platform developer. You have column age where you put maybe 10 years old. You have column, all of that. So it sits in, you know, columns, rows and columns. So we're going to teach you how to create these rows and column. And we are also going to teach you how to, if you have multiple tables, we're going to teach you how to connect these tables together. So as you are doing all of this, you are basically modeling your data. Remember, I said that I'm going to come back to model-driven apps. So as you're doing all of this, you're basically modeling your data. And that is where model-driven apps actually got its name from, because it is created from a modeled data. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to advise that you continue with us. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting journey, as whether you are you're just starting out in Power Platform, or you've been doing Power Platform for a while. Once you join us, there are so many things that you're going to unlearn and relearn, because I'm not doing it alone. AY is not doing it alone. We have amazing people here, and you'll be picking one or two things from all of them. Okay, so please stay tuned, join us, continue with us. That's it. Over to you, AY.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Even I myself could not keep up with what I was trying to show, and it's fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people would just be wondering how come she's just so fluent about what she's just saying. She's happy this thing, she knows this thing a lot, though, and all of that. Is the joy, right? Is the joy of learning. It's the joy of learning something and being able to see what you're learning being put to action, right? And that's the joy. And thank you very much, Lola, for that. Thank you, Lola, for that. Like I said, today is introduction, all right? So we'll just try and touch base, but like I said, we won't waste your time. So Lola has done solid justice to Microsoft Power Platform, and she has spoken about every every of the solution path that we have in the Microsoft Power Platform, from Power Apps to Power Automate to Power Virtual Agent to Power BI to Power Pages. She has done a good job. But like I said, this is a Power Apps series, right? And if you remember, she explained to us that Power Apps is used basically to build industry standard, industry approved applications, right, to our next project and to our next business processes, and then all of that. So we'll be looking into Power Apps, all right. So we'll be looking into Power Apps generally. We'll show you what Power Apps can do, and then what we'll just touch base with a few things that Power Apps entails and all of that. So those are some of the things we'll look at least today first, just to show you generally what Power Apps looks like. All right. On the overall, I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to take you into Power Apps. And while I take you into Power Apps, I will show you individually the element of Power Apps. And while I'm showing you those elements, I would also bring in on board Toby, Kayode, Victoria to talk about each of those elements. All right, so you can understand first what the system you'll be talking you will be looking at all through the week looks like. So I will look at it from every angle. But before then, I would like to call somebody to just talk to us about Power Apps first, so we understand Power Apps, so that when I switch over to showing us uh the environment, and we start talking on the environment, at least the environment makes sense from the explanation. All right, so Power Apps as a whole, it has so many angles. So I'm just going to bring on board Toby to talk about Power Apps as a whole. And when Toby is done talking, we'll delve into a demo, a practical demo of the environment of Power Apps. And after that practical demo of each of the environment, then we will explain the project scenario we're going to be engaging on for the next 4 weeks with everybody, and then we can end today's session. All right. Toby Yusuf, please go ahead.
All right. So yeah, talking about Power Apps, I think Lola has actually spoken much or said a lot about that. So just talk about Power Apps as a whole. Power Apps, when you get the word Power Apps, like Lola said, building, simple applications or business applications rather. That's what I do use. Building business applications or even building solutions, leveraging those Power Apps. Under the Power Apps, you have three different app types of app you can build. And the last spoken about how you can build each of them, talking about the Canvas app, that you are free to build whatever you want to build. So one thing that explains Canvas app is what you see, what you get. What it means is whatever you design is how you see your Power Apps. So you can see whatever is actually displaying at the moment. This basically, can you show me Power Apps? If you have that. Okay, thank you. So what you see is what you get. So whichever way you design your app is how it's going to come out for you. And you are free to do whatever you want to do with your Canvas app. You can, and one good thing about Canvas app, that's actually my favorite among the whole types of Power Apps you can build. Like we said, Power Apps are divided into different types. So I'm focusing on the Canvas app now. Like I said, you can build whatever you want to build here. What you see, what you get. So whichever way you design it, that's how it's going to come out for you. And it's just like a dragging and dropping. Instead of you having to write code. Normally if you want to write code to build an app, you have to first write a code to create that button. You have to write a code to place that button in a particular position. Then you now write another set of code to put the functionality that button is going to perform. But now with Canvas app, all you need to do is pull that button from somewhere, pull the color, change the color the way you want it. Now that's the drop down that we have there. So these are things that you'd have originally written code to build from scratch. In short, the platform itself, you have written code to start, this is the platform you want to start building. You have written code to do all of that. But now there's a platform for you. All you just need to do is just click on whatever you need to click on and drag and drop. And you can see the screen at AY is showing you every single thing here is being designed. You can pull, you can drag and drop every single thing, and you can change the color. No coding, like no coding. The only part you need to now code is just the formulas, and the formulas are more like Excel type. You're just writing like Excel formulas. If this is this, do this, or just changing some colors. So just no code. That's like basically called a no code tool. So you build this without writing any single line of code. And like I said, this is one of my most favorite because you can do a lot. You can design. I've seen a lot of amazing Canvas app, and this solves a lot of business problems. A lot of business problems. Speaking about most popularly built ones, you see business registration application, or even basic for data collection. So that sometimes that they need to fill in some informations in an organization, need to fill in some informations, and it goes through levels of approval. Now you can leverage your Canvas app to fill in those information. Now you can see a form at the moment. What it was actually showing us, that's just like a form where they can fill in that information and submit this form. And now somebody else can come into this app and modify what somebody has submitted. Somebody else can now come and check the level of approval where that thing has gone to. Oh, it's presently at this position. So a person can monitor it on the app. So you can see, you can view all the information that is on your data source. So you can see this kind of view. We'll carry you through how each of this work, like building this from step to step. We will carry you through all of this during this series. So today we're just doing an overview of what all of these tools are. So basically that's Canvas app for you. What you see is what you get. That's how I describe it. Building amazing applications, and there are a lot of applications, not limited to visitor registration, signing. I've seen someone build sign in and sign out application with that, attendance application with that. A lot of applications you can build leveraging the Canvas app. You are not limited to any kind of application. So whatever you can imagine, whatever you see, you can bring into a solution, or you can bring into an application in your head. You can definitely leverage the Power Apps and leveraging the Canvas app to build that. Okay, so another type that we have is the model driven. If you would switch to model driven a bit. So I would allow them talk more model driven, but just talk about model driven. Now, I talked about Power Apps as being a low code, right? Now you're leveraging Database. So Database basically is the data source that was built for Power Apps, right? And now, one good thing I didn't mention when I was talking about Canvas app is that you can connect to over 600 sources, data sources. When I last read, over 600 data sources. You can connect to over 600 data sources on Canvas app. Like Lola said, I think she mentioned SQL. There's Oracle. There are a lot of data sources you can connect to leveraging the Canvas app. Now, there's what we call the database. AY and Lola will do justice more on the database. But database basically is the data source built, and it's not just data source. I have one of my mentors on this call. He will tell you it's the data service, because it talks about database also covers the security parts, not just data source. But today I don't be leveraging or talking about the data source part. So database is more like a data source for your Power Apps. Now you can build a table. Building your table is like building your constructing your Excel table, like building a SharePoint list. So just like customizing this and customizing that. So you can see a table that AY is showing you at the moment. So once you go to your database, you're leveraging database, for example, in your organization, and you've gone into build a table, that is different tables, and you've modeled your table, like Lola said. Modeling means creating a relationship between those tables. That is, one table connects to another table. People that work with SQL would understand that. But for someone that has no knowledge about what I'm just saying, is you're building a simple Excel table. Imagine you're building a simple Excel table, and you're connecting that table to another table. For example, I have a table that contains the name of vendors. That vendors are people that sell something. So imagine I have a table that contains the name of vendors, their name, their address, and maybe their name, their address and phone number, their name, their address and phone number. And now I have separate tables that now show the product of each of those vendors. And I have a separate table that is maybe the first person on that table is Toby, and Toby sells maybe Indomie, Maggi, and the rest of them. I have a separate table for that. Then we now have another table on that same vendor table. We have Omolola Alfred, and maybe Omolola Alfred sells cars like Benz, Toyota, Honda. Now you can connect those tables together. So connecting those tables is what you're talking about. That's where the relationship part comes in. I'm connecting the table to another table, connecting the vendor table to the product table. Now, once you've done that connection, that relationship connection is what you're calling the modeling part. So that's basically what the modeling is in simple English. Now, once you've modeled your tables, on database. Now you built this table, you didn't build on Excel, you built on database, and you've modeled this table on database. All you can do without writing any line of code, without writing any line of code, you can't write any line of code, you can build an app. And that app is what we now call the model-driven app. So you can build a model-driven app like that by just modeling, creating your table, modeling it, and it builds an app for you. It comes up with an app where they can input information and you can view things. So you can see AI showing us through different things. This is how a model-driven app looks like. So these are apps you build without writing any single line of code. As you can see how it's showing us on things that have been done already on this app, and you're seeing different things you can do with model-driven app. So that's model-driven app for you. Without any line of code, you can leverage, you can build an app on Power Apps, and this is also part of the Power Apps tools too. So like I said, you have the you have the Canvas app, you have the model-driven, then you have the Power Apps portal, but that you actually be moving on to Power Pages. So I'm not sure we'll be talking much about that. But I'll just focus on the Canvas app and the model-driven for this case. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you for taking us through that extensive conversation. Yeah. Now, just to continue from where Toby stopped, right? Like I said, it's the first day, so we're trying to just show everybody what system we are trying to bring you in to learn, right? From the basics, all right? Just bring you in. Even if you are experienced and you're advanced, I'm sure you will learn one or two things, all right? In this case. Now, just to pick it up from where Toby stopped earlier, I will just take a step back to Canvas app again. Toby started talking about Canvas apps, and I think he landed on talking about data sources and then Canvas application, right? I'm sure we all know that you cannot build any application without a data. So, which means application leverages or sit on the foundation of data. So there's a database or there's a data instance, right? And when we talk about data communication or data foundation for any application development, your data could be, function-oriented data, or could be, just stored elements like your tabular data. So what do we mean? Lola said something earlier that you could be familiar with the use of Microsoft Excel or spreadsheet, ecosystem. Really, you could be familiar with the use of SharePoint or Oracle or SQL. So you could be familiar with all those tabular oriented database, which means if I pass an information on an application, I'm expected to have it on a tabular form. So if you take your eyes to my screen for a moment, you would see that while Toby was talking earlier, I tried to navigate down to the database here just to show us an entry. So for example, this is Dataverse, which Toby was explaining to us. And on this Dataverse, these are all sample tables, right? These are all tables. So I'm just going to open one of those tables. Don't worry. Like I said at the beginning, today is my day. I have access to be clicking and clicking. From next week, I can't click again. All this one that Toby and Lola are talking. By next week, they'll be the one going through this practically with their hands. Me, I will be there to look and learn also. But today, I pardon me to click. So I'm the clicker today. Okay. So look at it now. This is Dataverse. And I'm sure everybody, no matter how vague or how granular it is, at least everybody can understand what they see here, that this looks like a table, right? Am I correct, everybody? At least this is like a table. A table has headers and then it has rows, or we call it columns. This is a column called employee, a column called building, a start, expires, access key. So there are various kinds of columns, and each of these columns are holding data, right? So every column here has data that they are holding, right? Don't worry about the names. Don't worry, they are not security oriented, so we are safe. All right, I make sure we're in an environment that we can work. All right, so you can see that there's data in this table, right? So that's just one minute function of what the Microsoft Dataverse can do. Now the idea is this instance is holding a data. The data has to come from somewhere. So Lola took time to explain, and Toby took time to explain Canvas app and model-driven app to us, which means if we are saying that those two entities are application instances, right, they can help us build application. It means that we can submit data from those applications to a database somewhere, right? That means those two applications can save data to a database somewhere. So your data could be your SQL and all of that. But in this case, we're looking at Dataverse. So it means that if I want to submit application from, say, a Canvas app. So pardon the Canvas app you are seeing. This is a sample Canvas app that we use for training. So that's why you're seeing so many things. You know, when you're trying to explain button to somebody, you bring in a new button. When you're trying to explain form. So this is a sample Canvas app we're showing here. You will see that this Canvas app here is connected to quite a lot of data. If you look on the left side of my screen, you will see that this same Canvas app, right, is connected to Outlook, which is Microsoft Exchange, all right, the email service for Microsoft. So it's connected to the email service for Microsoft called Exchange, all right, through Outlook connector. Now, the same Canvas app is connected to Gmail. Are you seeing the idea? Gmail is a different service from Microsoft, right? Gmail is a Google service. So it's connected to Google. Now, what are these two services meant to do? They are services for mailing. Now, you would understand that if they are services for mailing, then their functions, the things they would do will be function oriented. I don't know if everybody understand, which means you can send email, you can delete email, right? You can reply email. So those are functions that you can do with email services. Can you store an information in an email? No, you cannot. But can you send an email out? Yes. Can you receive an email into your inbox? Yes. So when we talk about function and tabular forms, you understand what I'm saying right now, right? So functions. If I now talk about tabular forms or tabular forms, what am I saying? I'm saying another form of data source. They are all data sources, but another form of data source now, that its own function is to help you receive data, is to take in data, right? So if I go back to that Dataverse, you would see that on that Dataverse, now I have data here, but in a tabular form. So it could be any of those two. But like Toby said, Canvas app can do both. Did you see that? So Canvas app will connect to the one that is function-based, will connect to the one that is tabular-based, just to help your organization process to work, right? So that's the idea of, data sources and connectors that we talk about. So connectors are the bridge, all right, that you use. I like to say it in a layman term. If you're familiar with the API service or web services, that's what connectors are. Just making sure there's a source talking to a destination, right? And then there's a bridge in between them, how they communicate, all right? And that's what connector does. So that's basically what you see here on Canvas app, okay? So and like Toby also said, you can, just by dragging and dropping, you can actually do a lot of things. So for example, Toby said something about button. So for example, I think this is a button. See this guy I'm dragging on my screen is a button, right? So imagine I want to move from this screen. So let me show us what I'm talking about. Screens is the same thing as pages. I'm sure everybody on this call has a phone, right? You have a mobile phone and you have applications on your mobile phone, and then you move from one page to another. In Microsoft Power Platform, we call the same word pages, we call it screens, okay? So if you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens. So imagine I want to move from, I'm currently on the home screen. I want to move from the home screen to the visit screen. I could use many ways to do that, right? So I can decide to say, okay, I'm familiar with the idea. I can click a button to move. I can say, let's have something that shows go to this page. So for example, I want this button to move me from this page to another page. I could do that. How? So all I need to come and do is, or let me pick a different button. I have almost all my buttons, and they already have the function. Imagine is Ojoro now. Okay, let me pick another one. So let me pick this button, for example, and I just do this. And I say, move me from home screen to another page. Now, two things are involved. Lola made a statement, very important statement. She said that it is a low-code platform. Low-code, no-code platform. So as much as I can click and drag, so I can easily, I need a button, right? Instead of me writing I code C#, so I can easily declare a variable to bring in a variable for button, right? In this case, maybe on a front end tag. But instead of doing that, I can easily go to insert This is an old interface anyways, but let's manage it. I can go to insert and I bring in a button. Now watch this, everybody. This is the new button, yeah, that I just brought in. So this new button, imagine I change the name to, let's call it Power App Series, for example. Let's just call it that. Watch, this is the dragging concept. I can drag, see, just to enlarge what I'm doing. That this is a button. The idea of this button is that I can click it and it should do something. But right now, it's not doing anything. I'm clicking, you can see that there's an effect going on, but the effect is doing nothing, right? So that's the low code idea that we're talking about. So which means for me to allow this button work, that means the property must function, must work. And that takes me to that second conversation of talking about properties. Every object, note this very carefully, everybody, as we work on Power Apps, we are going to be doing this all week long in this November. Now, as we work on Power Apps, take this from me. Every object, any of my senior colleagues on this call will use in their Power Apps development, especially for Canvas app, every single object has a property. Whether they bring in a button, a drop down, a combo box, whatever it is they bring in, every single of those elements has what we call a property. So what do I mean? I just brought in a button, everybody. Note that what currently I have selected the button. How do I know that this button is selected? Take your eyes to the left. Watch my mouse. Move to the left. You see where you have button 12. Can you see that? That's the name of the button. Let me change it. Let me rename it so it looks more interesting, right? Okay. Anyways, I don't know why that's not coming up. Let's see. Okay, now good. So let's call it Power Apps button, something like that. So now watch this, everybody, carefully here. This Power Apps button is this is the button I just brought in here, this one. Now, when I click on this button, I want you to do me a favor, everybody. I said every object has a property. The object here is what? A button, right? If you take your eyes to the right-hand side of the screen, you see where you have properties, advanced, and idea. They are all properties. It's just saying these are standard properties, these are advanced properties, but they are all elements of this guy. How do I know? I can decide to change the background color of this guy. All I need to do is take my mouse a bit down to where I have color, and I'm changing the color to a burgundy. And now I have a burgundy, right? I said I like the text is white. I don't want a white text. I want something else. You see, I have a text color here. I can come to the text color and decide to make the color blue. And then it is blue. Did you see the idea now? Let me return it back to white. So I can do that. That's me doing aesthetics, what UI UX engineers will do when they design application product designs, right? I can decide to say I want to change sizes, paddings, and all other things like that that has to do with user interface. That's a property that is called standard. What if I now want to go advanced? I'm still talking property, but I want to take it to an advanced level, which means I need this. I thank you, AY. I can change the color, I can change the text. That's fantastic. But now let's let the button work. Let it do something. Let it get me away from this screen. Now you are still going to be working on the property, but a different kind of property, advanced, right? So I can easily go to advanced and I will see all forms of what property that are available for the same element. Guys, notice I am still selecting the same element, right? The same element is still selected. This button is selected. I can now go and look at all the properties available. Look at this. The property here says on select. The next one says text. See, the text is a string. And you see this semicolon, this quote in front and at the back shows is a string, which means I can type a manual text. So I can try to say, I don't want it to be called Power Apps series. I want it to be called Power Apps class. You see, immediately I'm typing that, you are seeing the effect on the screen. It's changing. Now I want it to move away from here. Currently, if I go to unselect, now there's something I love about Power Apps a lot, and which my colleagues have said about it when we start, is that what Power Apps is as natural as possible to you. Even the low code, the little function you are going to write, they are your natural language. What do I mean by natural language? Guys, if you want to move from one place to another, what will you say? You will say navigate. You would say move. Or you get what I'm saying, right? You will say switch. Those are statements you can use. So for example, I want to move from one screen to another. I can simply come here on the on select, right? Now look at what I'm doing here. Everything I'm doing at the right hand side, you can do at the top also, okay? There's something we have at the top, a little box here called a function bar. You see this property I just looked at now, this nice guy here called onSelect, this onSelect. If I go to the very top, watch my mouse, very top, you see one small drop down here. If I click on the drop down, you can see all of them. You see what this drop down is doing is combining both the standard and the advanced property together in a single drop down. The things you will see under the advanced standard properties here and on the advanced, you see all of them here. So this is for you to determine where you like to work. I like to work from the top. I like to work from the top. So I like to come here and say, okay, what I want to do for this button is I want to make the button, I want to select the button so that it moves to another place. I will go and look for a property called onSelect. See, onSelect. If I click on onSelect, this is the same onSelect here. Currently, the function says false, which means nothing should happen. I can remove that false and type a function to say navigate. Watch this, navigate. You see? And then it pops it out for me. And it's asking me what navigation are you trying to do? Then I can tell the system, okay, navigate me from screen 1 to screen 2. So let's look for which screen. Let's pick any screen. Say visit EY screen. So I will say navigate me to EY. I type EY. Automatically it pops up EY screen. Why? Because I have properly named it here. You see now, that was why I renamed this earlier. So I can say I can select EY screen and I can add a little gimmicks, right? Maybe I want it to, move in a way. So I can say maybe cover, fade, I'm not a designer. Designers understand those language. So I can easily come and say maybe screen transition, right? Screen transition. Okay, let me just. Okay, let's do. Okay, so pardon my network a bit. It's not loading that up for a while. So if my network is delaying, let me just do. It's taking time. Don't worry, I'll do that later. But let's do this. So navigate to the next screen, right? In this case. So let's test whether this works. We need to know. So I've written a little function to say move me from home screen to another screen. Somebody might ask me, but you didn't write home screen here. How will the system know? The system will know because the button I'm currently working on is already mapped under the home screen. Okay, so if I come back to this Power Apps, whatever now, and I decide to do what, click on it, watch this. I've not clicked on it yet. When I click on it, it should take us away from this screen. So let's click on it. See, it moves us away to the next, to what screen are we now currently? We are on, see, EY screen. Can you see? EY screen is selected now. We are on the EY screen. If I click on home, this home button, I want this home button to now take me back to what? To home. Can you see the function here? Sorry, you can see the function here. Navigate home screen, screen transition fade. That's what I was talking about earlier. Anyways, so if I click on this should take me back to the home screen. Watch, and I'm back on the home screen. Can you see that? And you can see that the way the screen fade, that's what I was trying to write earlier. I don't know what's wrong with the net, with the application screen not allowing me write that function. Yeah, it's just, don't worry, it's frozen a bit. Well, let's leave it. That's fine. So you can see that I'm able to move back and forth, right? And that's how you can write little code. Like we said, it's just what we call low code, just little or no code, natural language. I can show us across board. If I go to, you might be wondering, how did I get my name here? Did I type my name and all of that? And how did I get this name here? I did not. I got it here automatically, which means if any other person logs in into this application or something like that, after being shared, it will show their names and their pictures. You can see the function. Function simply says user, get the email of the user. If I don't want to get the email and I want to get maybe my full name, I can change this to what? Full name. Can you see full name? And then can you see it has changed from what? My email to my full name. Did you see that? So that's how you start to build your applications back and forth, back and forth. And to do so, I will just stop here for a while. All right. And there are other things we can also leverage on, across board. From your headings, you have your galleries to help you hold information. You can see, I think I have a gallery somewhere. Let's look for any of the screens. We have a gallery. Yeah, this is one. What's this? Let's remove this element on the screen just so that we can leave us. Okay, good. So you can see now, for example, look at this. We have data here, and this data is coming from somewhere. Where is it coming from? Let's go and check. The data is coming from users table and application user. So information coming from somewhere. The idea, okay, let's do something very interesting. Let's not even, everybody, let's go here. Watch this carefully. This is a table called access key, and there are data here. So let's go and see if we can bring this data to our application. So we can easily come here. And then I want to change this. Let me remove all these elements so that we have a clean screen, right? Let me just drag this gallery and I'll just chunk off all these elements. Boom, boom, boom. Fantastic. All right. So we have our gallery here. So let's connect this gallery to another table, right? What was that table again? It was called access key, right? Access key. So let's look for the table. So Toby talked about connecting. So let's connect to a database or a data source, all right? Even though our own is on Microsoft Dataverse, which is a data service on its own. But let's look for that table called access key. See the table here, access key. So I want to connect it. I want to bring that table in. Watch this carefully. Boom, boom, boom. Here we are. The data from that table is here. Let me switch to active access key, something like that. So you'll be wondering that, what are you seeing? AY, this is nonsense. But let's see something interesting. We can switch what we're seeing. The layout of the gallery is showing us title and subtitle. Let's do something like maybe title, subtitle, and body. Right. Let's switch. Okay, good. And then let's change the element we want to see. Let's look for interesting elements. Number one, I like the employee name. I like the building, and let's say the access key. Employee, building, and access key. Let's bring those elements in. So employee, building, and access key. So first thing first, the title. Let's switch to title to employee. So you see that all my table columns are showing up here in this case, right? So I just need to look for, I think that should be name. Let's see. Yep, name. And then let's move to the subtitle. Say employee, what was that other thing? Building, I think, if I'm correct. Let's look for building. Is there building here? Okay, let's just pick any of the data we can see here. Let me say status reason. Yep, that's fine. And then let's add one more element to say maybe the ID itself, the key ID itself. So you can see, so we have all of this set of elements, right? Of those, so you can see them here now. EY access key, dynamic conference, Darren, and these are all the elements we have here. You get of these guys, see them here. KY access key, PL400, essential. So you can see all of these elements is what you're seeing directly now inside the application. Can you see that? And that is how you connect to your database, and then you start building up. Now, it's the same thing for the model-driven application. You see the model-driven application here. I have all those elements here. If I had a new data here, I will see that data in that same DB. If I go to new and I had a new data, for example, let's just add a new data. So let's call it maybe Power Apps key, something like that. Let's pick a natural. So you see, it populates a building for me. So Toby talked about relationships earlier. So the fact that I'm able to pick a building here is based on the relationship that has been done. So I pick a building, Washington, DC. I'm looking for an employee. Let's pick demo user. He's starting. Let's just pick any one of these guys just for now. So this expires in 2,000 days, something like that. And then let's leave every other thing the way they are. So everybody, Power Apps key is the key name and all of that. And then let's save the element. Okay. So we've saved it, right? So we have that information added to this element here. Where is it? Demo user is a new one. The 2,000 days. See it here. This is the element 2,000 whatever. See it. Now let's go to our database and let's go and see if that element is appearing in our DB. Right? I'm just going to do an add refresh on this screen so that we can see our data populate. So the idea is we are showing you all of this so that you can understand that this is what this application Power Apps is meant to do, help you perform seamless activities like this across board, right? That's the intention of what you're seeing. The funniest thing is the element I just created now there's an automation behind it that is supposed to send me an email that something was created, and I'm going to show you that email actually entered. So everybody, can you see this is the guy? Can you see it here? 2000. This is the guy. Can you see the Power Apps key? Is now live in our database. Is live in our database. Funny thing, I even got an email to tell me, dude, you just created something. Let me just drag it a minute. I'll drag this to the screen. Everybody will just see what I'm talking about, and then we can move away. See, I got an email, says user with this Power Apps key was created. And now somebody might be saying, you got the email in your Microsoft email. I have a Gmail account that also got the mail, so that you can understand that the interesting thing is we're not only working on a Power Apps on a Microsoft instance level. Even if you have external emails you need to do connections to and all of that, there is that possibility in this case, right? And that's what the system does across board. And those are the things that we will be showing us in these in these few weeks, where we'll be looking into these things extensively. All right. I think that is enough for demo for now, because I'm looking at our time. I think our time should be fast spent quickly. All right, good one. Now let's talk about our project scenario and what we're looking at doing. All right, and what we're looking at doing. I will explain it in a broad view. I will allow my friends, Lola, basically, to also talk about some of the things that would these project scenarios will bring us to learn. All right. So the project scenario we're looking at, for everybody to show us and to teach us Power Apps for these 4 weeks is a project management kind of project. All right. A project management kind of project. What do we mean by that? So you can imagine something like you have an organization. In your organization, you have a sales department. You have say developers. Definitely you have developers, right? And then apart from that, you have project managers. That's how project works, right? There's a project, there are developers, there are project managers, right? In this case. So as a sales manager, I just finished getting a deal with a customer, and it's time to start building the Power Apps application or something for the customer. I would love to have a very simple application that I can just go on my mobile phone and put it and say, project name, invoice management, duration, 10 weeks, and this is this, and I pass all the information. When I pass the information, I would love to have a back end where there is a project manager. A project manager goes to the back end, all right, like a back end screen, an administrative screen, sees all the project. And then every time there's an update, projects are in phases, right? Phase 1, phase 2, sprints, really. So every sprint, I go there, I'm able to pass, on this sprint, we've been able to create the Canvas app interface, been able to create the models. We're moving on now to do the functionalities for sending automations and all of that. You see that? You pass that information. The same project manager go into the system and says, developer Kayode, these are the tasks you should do for the next 1 week. In the next 1 week, make sure that all the screens, the responsiveness are fine. Make sure that all the data entering our database are accurate. Make sure the automations for approvals are done. That's your task. Kayode sees the mail and then start work. If after 1 week, Kayode is not done with it, the item moves into what? A backlog. So you can have another backlog. And so an automation comes to say, if an item is more than 7 days, move it to a backlog. Can you see that? But a project manager is seeing that. That's so a project manager goes, is tracking all of those elements, imputing data as to what is going on and all of that. The sales person who won the customer also is seeing on the application interface, which can be a Canvas app now, the progress of the application, of the development. Oh, currently now they are in phase 1. Oh, good. Phase 1 is done. They've moved to phase 2. Oh, good. Phase 2 is done. They moved to phase 3. So everybody gets visibility from the sales side, from the project manager side, and then the developers itself. So we'll build a little application that will comprise of a Canvas app, a model-driven app, using Dataverse as our database. Definitely we'll write automations with Power Automate, with business process flow, with business rule, to make it all work together. So very simple capstone application. But while we're doing that, what is the intention? The intention is to show you how all of these things are done. So what we just finished showing you in Canvas app, model driven app, Dataverse, we'll now practically start using them to build this little project management application. All right, to see how can you start a model? What do we mean by a model? Toby started explaining earlier that in building a model is what, understanding what your security models will be like, what your table compositions will be like, what your relationships will be like. So bringing all of those together forms your data model or your security model, and then based on your requirements and your solution design, we can now build a very. So when we're done with these 4 weeks, I'm sure everybody will have confidence to now pick up any project like that, and then you start building your own thing yourself, and you can explore. Note that we might not be able to touch all aspects of the of Power Apps, Canvas app, model driven app, Power Pages, if the case may be. There's no scenario we have yet on that, but for Canvas app and model driven app basically, and Dataverse, we might not be able to touch every cogent part, every let me say deep or strong part, but we'll touch every cogent part you need to get you moving. All right, to get you moving on your journey, on your learning journey. As I said, don't join this week and miss next week, and try to join every week. All right, that's how you can learn easily. All right, so that's the little scenario we're going to be building, a little project management application, but week in, week out, we'll touch base. Next week, we'll focus mainly on the model, the data model itself, and how we can start up that application from scratch. What are the first things you should do after you have, what are the first things you should do to start up your model, to start up your application, and then that's what we'll be doing next week. The following week, we'll move into building the next application, which is probably be the Canvas app side for the sales. And then if time permits that same week, we can start the model driven side, all right, which is going to take much of the time because we need to create a few things. So the next 2 weeks after that might be the model driven side. The last week we bring everything together, test it to see what we've done. And then I'm sure by that time, we'll have touched base with a lot of things to help everybody learn. All right. I hope that makes sense to everybody, right? Lola, do you want to add anything to this before I open the floor for questions? Lola, Kayode, Victoria, any one of you, if you have anything to add to anything we've done, maybe just to say a few things, just in 1 minute, and then we can open the floor to people to ask questions.
All right, so AY, well done. Thank you for the elaborate explanation, and thank you to Omalola. I want to add this. I don't want us to be overwhelmed with this information that has been given unto us. And during the course of the training, the course of the series, I know some of us might be wondering, how will I be able to catch up? How will I be able to be up to speed? Don't be overwhelmed with that thought. Start, and you can always reach out to any one of us if you have questions or clarifications to make. We'll address it. So you might not be able to follow through, catch up with us while we are running the training or while the training is going on, but you can always reach out with questions, and I'm sure either of us will be available to answer your questions. Thank you.
Fantastic. Kayode?
All right, great. Yeah, I will just want to emphasize on the point that we are using a demo project throughout this training series. Now, one thing I've come to notice about the Power Platform is a lot of times when you're working on projects, right, they have a form of a common base. So, for example, today you could be building an HR solution, tomorrow you could be building a time management solution, right? But at the end of the day, it's still drawing from the same knowledge base, right? So, as much as we are going to be building a project tracking application here, whatever you learn is still going to be adaptable to other solutions. So while we are going through this, don't just at the end of this training, don't just go and say, oh yeah, I can build a project management application and that's all I can do, right? You should look at it from the big picture view. Try to look at it in the big picture. While taking the training, we will kind of be focused on the project tracking solution, right? But as you are learning, you should try to look at it in the big picture. So start thinking of other scenarios, other ways you can actually apply the knowledge. Now, it is one thing to be taught by great instructors, right? But it's another thing for you to have your own system of learning. So I would want us to kind of have our system of learning. Personally, what I do is anytime I'm being taught something, I think of ways I can apply it, right? So that kind of helps me have um a deeper understanding, and it makes me try to explore other things. So even though we are working on the project tracking application, in your personal time you could also be building something else, right? So that's one thing that's really helped me in the Power Platform journey. Keep on trying things out. When you hit the roadblocks, look for a solution, solve it, then you keep on going. So that's just what I have to say.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Kayode. Thank you, Victoria also. Now, I've opened the door for everybody. If you have questions, please just put your hands up. Let's take one or two questions and then we can end the session. If you have any question at all, you can raise your hand and then we can wrap the session up. If you don't have any question, then I think we are good to go this night. And then next week we'll start some real work together. All right, across board. Let me just try to check. Okay, so I think everybody looks good. Everybody's fine so far. No questions from anybody. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All righty. So thank you everybody again for joining us this night. Next week, same time, same place. Share with your friends. Let them register. Next week, we'll start with data modeling. All right, and then start to build this project application and then see how everybody learn across board. All right, we'll definitely have the videos upload on the after the whole session. One of the things we'll do is we'll have all videos uploaded on our YouTube channel, and then we'll definitely do a bulk email to everybody about all of the sessions. So in case you want to go over the sessions and then to check on what has been done, we'll do that. All right. So everybody will get access to the videos after now. All right. Do have a wonderful evening, everybody, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are, and then see you all next week on Saturday. On Saturday, we'll be having a session. I will